Am I the a-hole for cutting off my aunt and cousin after finding out they've been spreading lies about me for years? This might be long, but I really need an outside perspective. Everything feels upside down lately, and I'm having a hard time deciding if I'm overreacting or just finally standing up for myself. I'm a 27-year-old woman who grew up in a small southern town, the kind where everyone knows everyone, and gossip is practically a currency. After high school, I moved away to attend university a few hours from home. It was supposed to be my fresh start, freedom, space, and hopefully less drama. But looking back now, I think the drama just followed me in a different form. When I started college, I met Shelley, 30F. She was a senior while I was a freshman. We weren't close, but she was the niece of my uncle's wife Sandy, 57F. So, we were loosely connected. Shelley always seemed polished, mature, with her life neatly put together. She was graduating, engaged to her boyfriend John, 30M, and surrounded by friends. I kind of admired her. I wouldn't say we were friends, but we exchanged occasional texts and small talk when we crossed paths. At one point, Shelley and John had a joint graduation and engagement party in my college town. My uncle invited me, so I went with my then-boyfriend. It was a nice time, and that was that, or so I thought. Over the years, whenever I ran into people from Shelley's circle, I might refer to her as my cousin, just to simplify the explanation. She was technically extended family through marriage, and I never meant anything by it. But looking back, maybe that fed into the problem in ways I didn't realize. The year after that party, one of my high school friends and Shelley happened to get married on the same day in the same church in our hometown. Wild coincidence. My family was planning to attend both. Sandy had mentioned that Shelley's reception was going to be packed, but if we ate dinner elsewhere, we were welcome to come by for the dancing part. That seemed totally fair. We went to both ceremonies, had dinner at my friend's wedding, and then dropped by Shelley's reception briefly. She didn't really acknowledge us, but she was a bride, surrounded by people. I didn't think much of it. Fast forward 8 years. A few weeks ago, my mom bumped into Shelley and her mom while they were visiting from out of town. She said they were cold, barely polite. She brushed it off but mentioned it to me later. I thought it was strange, but didn't dwell on it. Then came the winery event. I was back in town that weekend, and my boyfriend Chris, 32M, and I decided to check out the local wine festival. I hadn't seen some of these people in years. While walking through the vendor booths, I spotted Shelley working one with her cousin Melody, 31F, someone I actually did grow up with. We went to the same high school, shared classes, clubs, even knew each other's families well. She's always been well-connected and plugged into the local social scene. Honestly, she's always had a bit of a gossipy streak, but I didn't think it would ever come back to bite me. Chris and I approached the booth, and almost immediately, I felt this weird tension. They barely looked at me. I picked up a pair of earrings to buy, and that's when things got bizarre. Shelley rang me up and casually said, "Chris doesn't seem like your type." I just blinked. "What do you mean?" And she said, with the fakest smile, "I just thought you'd end up with someone more like John. I mean, you were pretty obsessed with him back in the day." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking, but her face didn't change. I asked, "What are you talking about?" And that's when she unloaded. According to Shelley, I had snuck into her engagement party. I had crashed her wedding reception just to be near John. I had forced conversations at family events. She even claimed I showed up at Melody's wedding a couple years later, looking for them. None of this happened. I was stunned. I told her plainly that my uncle invited me to the engagement party and that Sandy herself had said it was fine to swing by the reception. I also pointed out that I didn't even attend Melody's wedding. I was sick at home that weekend. My parents and brother went. I wasn't even in the building. Shelley looked shocked. "Sandy told me you were at the reception the whole time. She also said you came to Melody's wedding asking about us." That's when Chris stepped in. He calmly asked, "Can I just ask, what exactly is weird about her attending family events she was invited to? Did she ever message John? Did she show up at your house? Or is it just that she was present in the same space as you sometimes?" There was this long, awkward pause. Shelley and Melody looked at each other like they'd never even thought about that before. And I realized they wanted this version of the story to be true. They wanted me to be the weird, obsessed cousin. It made a better story. It made them look more important. I looked around the winery and realized how many people I recognized, people from my town, former classmates, neighbors. Who else had heard these rumors? How long had I been the punchline in conversations I never even knew about? Later that night, I was heartbroken. Chris was amazing. He told me he had never once heard me mention John, not even in passing. He believed me. But I couldn't stop thinking about how long these lies had been circulating. What image of me did people have? How many opportunities were shaded by whispers I never heard. I decided I was done. I texted Sandy and told her I was cutting contact. That she helped spread lies about me that painted me as emotionally unstable. And I would not allow people like that to stay in my life. I texted Shelley and said everything she heard was false, and going forward I wanted no contact. I asked her not to mention me, and I promised to do the same. Asked her to pass that message to Melody too. Sandy tried calling me, but I didn't answer. My mom later told me she was upset and that Shelley and Melody were furious. I reacted this way. My mom told me I was being rude for cutting off family. I told her, what's rude is spending years turning your cousin into a stalker in people's minds and never once checking the facts. But sure, I'm the problem. I haven't answered any family messages since. Some are angry. Others say I'm being dramatic, but none of them offer even a half-hearted apology. No one has taken responsibility for what they said or what they allowed others to believe. So now I ask, am I the a-hole for cutting off my aunt and cousin after finding out they've been lying about me and calling me a stalker for years?